Okay, time to get this shit done. I can taste it. I can taste the completion. What did I put in here? Alright, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So we got last deck, Tyranid Swarm. Finally actually figured out how to open these boxes. The Swarm Lord. We're going to be putting these cards into green sleeves. The Swarm. These are already a little curled. The Swarm Lord enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. Whenever a creature you control with a counter on it dies, draw a card. That's pretty good. Oh, I have like a bad feeling about these sleeves already. No. No problem so far. Magus Lucia Kane. 4 mana, 1/1 human Tyranid wizard. Beginning of combat in your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Psychic Stimulus. Tap it, add 2 mana. When you next cast a spell with X in its mana cost, or activate an ability with X in its activation cost this turn, copy that spell or ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. I think I would. I think I'm inclined to run this one as the commander. Just having always access to that ramp ability. And it's cheaper, which I always prefer in my commanders. I think Swarm Lord is going in the 99. Gene Stealer Locust. 4 mana, 3/3 Tyranid Human. Neurotromal Rod. Whenever a creature attacks you, it gets -1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature attacks one of your opponents, it gets +0/+1 until end of turn. Harrowing Visions, paralyzing pain, and terrifying brain spasms await those who challenge the cult. Acolyte Hybrid. 3 mana, 2/2 Tyranid Human. Heavy Rock Cutter. Whenever Acolyte Hybrid attacks, destroy up to 1 target artifact. If an artifact is destroyed this way, its controller draws a card. 2 obviously Xenos Inform to blend into human society. The Acolytes haunt the dark places beneath industrial sprawls. Aberrant. X, 1 and a green. Ravenous. This creature enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. If X is 5 or more, draw a card when it enters. Trample. 0/0. Heavy Power Hammer. Whenever Aberrant deals combat damage to a player, destroy target artifact or enchantment that player controls. What a fucking cool card. It's flexible. It can draw you a card. Destroys a thing, maybe. Maybe. That part's pretty tenuous. And it could be a 3 mana 1/1, but that's what Magus Lucia is for. Pure Strain Gene Stealer. 3 mana 1/1 Tyranid. Enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Vanguard species. Whenever Pure Strain Gene Stealer attacks, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from it. If you do, search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Ramp. Delayed ramp, though. Tyranid Invasion. 4 mana, sorcery. Create a number of 3/3 green Tyranid warrior creature tokens with trample, equal to the number of opponents you have. By the time the Blood Angels descended from the heavens, Phodia was a city transformed. Miles of flesh-filled rivers fed into the central digestion pools and up into the hive fleet above. I should just flip this pile of sleeves around, because clearly it's backwards from what I want. Trigon Prime. 4 mana, 4/4 Tyranid. 2 a green and a blue. Subterranean Assault. Whenever Trigon Prime attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 other target attacking creature. That creature can't be blocked this turn. The walls of the Necron tomb were unbreakable. The ground beneath it was not. So you make one of your other creatures unblockable. Venomthrope. 3 mana, 2/2, Tyranid, flying, death touch, hexproof. See that cloud that hangs around it? More than a minute in there, and you'll be bleeding out of places you didn't even know you had. Captain Escote. That's that death touch. Goliath Truck. 4 mana artifact vehicle. Stowage. Whenever Goliath Truck attacks, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target attacking creature. Crew 2. And it becomes a 4/4. Either Eyes. No berserker charge can stand against the psychic might of the hive mind. Because now we're into normal magic cards that have just been reflavored with Warhammer, not new cards. Inspiring Call. 3 mana instant. Dark card for each creature you control. The +1/+1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible until the turn. The voice of a Calamvus commands all who carry the genetic legacy of the Tyranids in their blood. Bred for the Hunt. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Looks like we found the source. Torch it quick before anything crawls out. Sergeant Ripper Jackson. Hull Breach. Classic magic card. At the lash of the hive ship's feeder tentacles, the cruiser vented atmosphere cargo and crew members into the void. I'm trying to remember what set Hull Breach is from. I want to say Invasion, but I could be way off. Let's find out. Oh no, it's from Plane Shift. Which is right after Invasion. Part of Invasion block. Herald's Horn. No flavor text or anything. EDH staple. for tribal stuff. Soul. Here's our soul ring. One day, the dark glory of the void will swallow the light of the stars once and for all. Magus, Lucia Kane. That one. Ash Barrens. Deserts of industrial ash surround the hive cities, covering the surface of the planet with an unstable, corrosive skin. There we go. Frontier Bovek. Disillusioned with the Imperium, the population of Chancellorsville turned to other, hungrier powers for meaning. Unclaimed Territory. Another classic from Ixalan. Cultivate. A single spore from a Tyranid hive ship can spell doom for a solar system. Ooh, explore. The Tyranids advance inexorably across the galaxy in their living hive ships with one singular goal: to consume all. Farseek. Once we have claimed this planet, we will claim the stars. Harrow. With each defeat, the hive learns. With each victory, it grows. Nope, this one requires a token. God damn. Wait, really? Fuck. This one's hard. There we go. There we go. This card is... This is a thick token. Alright, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. New Horizons. No flavor text. Just art. Standard Magic the Gathering card. Overgrowth. Tyranids flourish in any climate, dominate any ecosystem, crush any resistance. See, Overgrowth, way more value than New Horizon. You get 3 mana out of your lands. An additional 2. Enchanted land is tap, add 2. Means you're only getting an extra 1 out of that card, actually. So I just think, unless you're, just desperate for fixing, I think Overgrowth is a much better card. Rampant Growth. Upon impact with a planet's surface, a Tyrannocyte's bloated belly bursts open, disgorging a horde of Tyranid invaders. Here's our arcane signet. Countless Xeno cults dwell unseen within the Imperium, lurking just beneath the surface. Man, the Imperium, they're like infected by chaos, infected by Tyranids. Cave of Temptation. Don't love that card. I don't know that I've even seen this one as a regular Magic card, which it must be. I just would never play it, even in a +1/+1 counters theme deck. Here's our command tower. In the late stages of a Tyranid invasion, vast capillary towers funnel biomass to the hive ships waiting in orbit. Evolving Wilds. What are ramparts? What are steeples? What are our machines worth in the teeth of this ceaseless hunger? Magos Varnak. We get once again. It's a good line. Worth reading more than once. Here we go. Gene Stealer Patriarch. 5 mana, 4/4 Tyranid. Gene Stealer's Kiss. Whenever Gene Stealer Patriarch attacks, put an infection counter on target creature defending player controls. Children of the Cult. Whenever a creature dies with an infection counter, whenever a creature with an infection counter on it dies, you create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a Tyranid in addition to its other types. So you go for the attack, then you pick their creature and they block with it or chump block with something, and then you get it back as a Tyranid or whatever. It's the sort of standard thought line on that card. Exocrine. X and 3 is Ravenous. Ravenous is such a cool ability for all of these creatures to scale. Although I don't think it's as good as... It's not as good as Squad, but if you get that card draw, that's pretty cool. Bioplasmic Barrage. When Exocrine enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to each player and each other creature. Ooh, that's actually just good, though. Like, you have to have mana, but... That's a finisher. Board clearing. Hurting all your opponents. Good card. The Red Terror. See, here you go. The Red Terror. It's a red card. Easy. 4 mana, 4/3, Tyranid. Legendary. Advanced Species. Whenever a red source you control deals damage to one or more permanents and or players, put a +1/+1 counter on the Red Terror. Screamer Killer. 5 mana Tyranid. 5/5 trample. Bioplasmic Scream. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 5 or greater, Screamer Killer deals 5 damage to any target. Its shriek is unintelligible, but armored bulkheads seem to understand the intent well enough. I like that card. With all your Tyranids that scale up, because they have X in the cost or whatever. That's cool. Biophagus. Phagus. 2 mana, 1/3, human Tyranid Wizard. Geometric Enhancement. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. If this mana is spent to cast a creature spell, the creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. We can guarantee you that within a week, you will feel like a new man. Galaxos Kleinsmith. Biophagus. Bone Sabre. Bone Sabers. 3 mana. Artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature attacks, put 4 +1/+1 counters on it. Charged with psychic energy, the melee weapons of the Tyranid are far more than bone and chitin. 4 is a lot. Broodlord, X and 4 with Ravenous. Tyranid, 3/3. Brood Telepathy. When Broodlord enters the battlefield, distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of other target creatures you control. I don't actually know how that works. Let me look that up because I'm not actually sure if you're getting technically X times 2 tokens. The way that's worded. Hmm. Um, hmm. Ruling. Nope. Hmm. Why is there no good clarification on this? I'm just crazy. it's about distribute. Oh, distribute should mean new ones. So it should both. I'm pretty sure it both gets the counters and puts them out there. Or else it would say move the counters from it. I think? Clamavus. 5 mana, Humanid Tyranid Artificer. Proclamator Hailer. Each creature you control gets +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on it. God. The Starborn approach. Their holy angels descend. Take up arms, my brothers and sisters, for the day of ascension is upon us. That's a nightmare to track in paper. Fun times. But, that's what Warhammer EDH should be about. Shit that's fucking wild to fucking keep track of. Haruspex, 4 mana Tyranid, 2/2, Rapacious Hunger. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Haruspex. Devouring Monster. Remove X +1/+1 counters from Haruspex. Add X mana of any one color. Oh, here we go. Hierophant Bio Titan. 12 mana, 12/12. Beautiful. Tyranid. Frenzied Metabolism. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may remove any number of +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each counter removed this way. Vigilance Reach, Ward 2. Titanic. Hierophant Biotitan can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. +1/+1 countering you're giving you 2 mana off is pretty convenient. Turning your resources into resources. Hormagaunt Horde. X and 1 mana for a 1/1 Tyranid with Ravenous and Endless Swarm. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 3. If you do, return Hormagaunt Horde from your graveyard to your hand. That's great. You can play it early, and then you get it back later and replay it bigger. Lictor. 4 mana, 3/3. Tyranid Flash. Pheromone Trail. When Lictor enters the battlefield, if a creature entered the battlefield under an opponent's control this turn, create a 3/3 Tyranid Warrior creature token with trample. It's not that exciting. In a deck that doesn't really play at instant speed otherwise, so leaving up mana is kind of weird. Nexos, 2 mana, Human Tyranid Advisor, Strategic Coordinator. Basic lands you control have tap, add 2 colorless. Spend this mana only on costs that contain X. The blessed union of gun, claw, and merciless intent is a force to be truly feared. It's pretty good. card for X tribal. Which this deck is like half that. Old One Eye. 6 mana, 6/6 Tyranid. Trample. Other creatures you control have trample. When Old One Eye enters the battlefield, create a 5/5 green Tyranid creature token. Fast healing. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may discard 2 cards. If you do, return Old One Eye from your graveyard to your hand. Then you discard 2 cards, you get this and a 5/5. Giving all your stuff trample is pretty good. Spore Cyst. XX green. Ravenous. So you have to pay 11 mana to get this to Ravenous 5 to draw a card off it. Defender. Spore Chimney. When Spyrocyst enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 8x basic land cards. Put them onto the battlefield, tapped, then shuffle. So for 3 mana, you get 1 land. For 5 mana, you get 2 lands. But it scales up. 7 mana, you get 3 lands? I don't know. I don't think that rate ever quite works out to being worth it. But you know, it's a Tyranid with +1/+1 counters on it, and you can spend those other ways. Termagant Swarm. X and a green for a 0/0 Tyranid with Ravenous. And Death Frenzy. When Termagant Swarm dies, create a number of 1/1 green Tyranid creature tokens equal to Termagant Swarm's power. Ooh. So you can also, if you boost its power in other ways besides those counters, you still get 1/1s for all those. It's not just for the number of 1/1 counters on it. That's pretty cool. This person who likes Symbiotic Worm. Tervigon. 2 and X for a 0/0 with Ravenous. Trample. Spawn Termagants. Termagants. Whenever Tervigon deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green Tyranid creature tokens. Let the swarm grow. Toxicrene. 4 mana. 2/4 reach Death Touch. Hypertoxic Miasma. All lands have tap, add 1 mana of any color. And lose all other abilities. Ooh, all lands. Turn off all the utility lands. It emits a stinking cloud composed of millions of nascent microscopic organisms, each possessing a fragment of predatory sentience. Tyrant Guard. X and 3 with Ravenous and Shield Wall. Sacrifice Tyrant Guard. Creatures you control with counters on them gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Adelan Jackal, 3 mana human Tyranid scout, 2/2 trample haste, skilled outrider. Whenever Adelan Jackal deals combat damage to a player, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Death Leaper, Terror Weapon, 4 mana, 3/3, flash, Tyranid, haste, Flesh Hooks. Creatures you control that enter the battlefield this turn have double strike. Created to break will and bone with equal ferocity. So you also need to make sure all your stuff that out of the battlefield this turn has haste. Or just, it's a combat trick, I guess. Saga, the first Tyrannic War, 5 mana. You may Chapter 1. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. If its mana cost contains X, it enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of lands you control. That's pretty great. Double the number of each kind of counter on target creature you control. You do that twice. Now we get some a Simic card. Gargoyle Flock, Tyranid Gargoyle. 4 mana for a 2/2 flyer. Sky Swarm. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature entered the battlefield under your control this turn, create a 1/1 blue Tyranid Gargoyle creature token with flying. They dive screaming on defensive lines, sowing chaos before the main assault begins. Gerson Starn, Kellermorph, 3 mana, 3/2 Tyranid Human, Ward 2. 3 auto stubs. Whenever another source you control deals exactly 1 damage to a permanent or player, Gerson Starn Kellermorph deals 2 damage to that permanent or player. So every instance of a 1 mana damage thing becomes 3 damage, which can get pretty freaking scary. This is a card you can build around on its own, actually, in a whole different deck. Valenthorpe, 3 mana Tyranid, 2/2 flying, scavenge the dead. When Malanthrope enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. Great in this for EDH. Put a +1/+1 counter on Malanthrope for each creature card exiled this way. You always want to be able to clear out the graveyards. People get up to shenanigans. I actually try to not... I love graveyard synergies, but I try not to build EDH decks that go too hard on them, Because then if someone hates out the graveyard, you're kind of screwed. But a little bit of playing the graveyard, I think, goes a long way in EDH. Obviously, if nobody has graveyard hate, you can eat them alive. If you go whole hog. Mawloc. 2/2 Tyranid. 2 and X Ravenous. Terror from the Deep. When Mawloc enters the battlefield, it fights up to one target creature an opponent controls. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Nom 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 nom. Ravener. X and 2. 0/0 flash. Okay, another flash. Every flash thing makes the other flash things better. When Ravener enters the battlefield, target creature attacks target opponent this turn, if able. This is just a wild card. You can help make someone attack someone else. They hurt their opponent. They leave themselves less defended. It's very potent for shenanigans. Shenanigans, shenanigans, shenanigans. Shadow in the Warp. 3 mana. Enchantment. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. Ooh. Whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, Shadow Warp deals 2 damage to that player. So everyone's going to hate you. The Astropath collapsed, his empty eye sockets aglow. He spoke 3 words before falling lifeless to the ground. They are coming. Tyranid Harden. 6 mana Tyranid. Flying. Ward 4. Shrieking Gargoyles. Whenever Tyranid Harden or another Tyranid you control deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 blue Tyranid Gargoyle creature token with flying. But it's not a gargoyle. But it does create Tyranid Gargoyles. It looks more like a dragon, honestly. Honestly. Tyranid Prime. 3 mana. 0/4. Evolve. Which is whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Synapse creature. Other creatures you control have evolve. Oh, that's really good for the token stuff. That's incredibly cool. And a nightmare to track all of. Winged Hive Tyrant. 5 mana, 4/4. Tyranid. Flying. Haste. The Will of the Hive Mind. Other creatures you control with counters on them have flying and haste. There you go. There's your everything has haste. Hive Tyrant's synaptic link is the primary conduit through which the hive mind enforces its dominance over a hive fleet's lesser creatures. The Hive Tyrant has all 8 gym badges. All Pokemon bow to his will. Zoanthrope. Zoanthrope. X and 2 for Ravenous, Flying, Ward 2, and Warp Blast. When it enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to any target. None of this fighting stuff, just pure damage. And if you spend 7 or more, you get to draw a card. The passive draw on like the Ravenous stuff when it just gets big, I just think it's mwah. Sweet design. What cards we got before basic lands? Okay. Starstorm. X damage to each creature, and you can cycle it if you happen to have a good board. Hey, David. They're beasts. What are they going to do? Bomb us from orbit? Platoon Commander Cirrus Jalili. Prandium Defense Auxilia. Presumably, this is them bombing you from orbit. Abundance. This is cool because like the traditional abundance art is like just an elf hanging out in a nice forest, so just having like these creepy Tyranid dudes on an abundance. This is just neat. And there's abundance is a cool card because there are shenanigans you can get up to with it. With cards that like Brainstorm, where you draw cards, but then you're supposed to put some back. Or some of the ones you drew back, but if you just replacement effect all the draws through abundance, and you don't have any cards to put back, you've just gained value. Death's Presence, 6 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the power of the creature that died. The Gene Stealer cults rejoiced at the arrival of their gods at first. This is like when Nail died and fused with Piccolo. Except it's only linear growth. Whereas fusion is like exponential or whatever. Hardened Scales, another classic token magic card. Very cool to just have the theming on it. As the fusillade of Lay's gun fire bounced harmlessly off the Carniflex's carapace, the creature roared and advanced. Just a great card in a counters deck. It's 1 mana and it basically doubles all your output on that stuff. Although I guess not doubles. It's that many +1. Whereas there are more expensive cards that literally double. Icon of Ancestry with Tyranid theming. Just some creepy hands. Cinderglade. All orbital bombardment did was till the soil. I I guess that's the Tyranids getting orbitally bombarded. Exotic orchard in the late stages of a Tyranid invasion. Sessile organisms take root in a planet's crust, converting its resources into biomass that can be extracted by the Hive Fleet. I think I've read this. This card's been like at least in 3 decks, if not all of them. I still can't read it. Or that flavor text, rather. It's been a while. It appears Old One Eye is on the hunt. Marnius Calgar for Game Trail. Temple of Abandon. Places of worship become frenzies of violence as the psychic call of the hive mind stirs gene stealer cults to action. Temple of Epiphany. Hail the children of the stars. Magus Lucia Kane. Right down there. Nope. Temple of Mystery. Gene stealer cults bide their time on imperial worlds, spreading tendrils of corruption through the native population. Opal Palace. Path of Ancestry, which I think is in every deck. Rugged Highlands. Defense laser emplacements are usually located at high altitude, where the rarefied air does little to impede their range of destructive efficacy. Congratulations, David. As someone who found 2 shinies, I never even really tried looking for them that hard, though. Not that impressed. But I'm glad you found it after spending so long. After it drove you to the brink of insanity. Exactly, Ace. Exactly. Terramorphic Expanse. The I've read this card so many times already. The Cetastrix Maledictum split the galaxy asunder. The raw stuff of chaos flooded into real space, transforming whole planets in moments. Maybe we can just download Dolphin. You don't need to hunt for it. Thornwood Falls. Mere weeks later, the planet was scoured of any trace of life. Every scrap of vegetation, every drop of water, gone. And how do you get your blue mana? Giving me the frowny face. Where are you, Ben? God. Hashtag got him. There's our fake Swarm Lord. I still find that hilarious. This token's like extra thick. So, yeah. Where's this 2 cards? This is 2 cards stuck together. That makes more sense. That makes more sense. Alright, time to sleeve quickly. Get through these basics so I can put all these decks in their box and feel good about it. That's empty. Each one, what, of the Warhammer decks? Yeah. Well, one of them's mono black. This one's Teamer. Then one of them's Esper. And one of them's blue, black, red. But 3 of them have black in them. This is the only... Yeah. And this is the only green deck. Oh, the sleeves. Yeah. Yeah, I gave... each one has their own color of sleeves. The mono black deck gets all black everything. Well, no, these are purple. Gets purple sleeves. Black got purple. Ugh. Mech down. This one had teal. And these are red sleeves. No, these are purple. I couldn't remember. The Esper deck is purple sleeves. or dark blue. There's like dark blue and then there's purple. I can't even. Some of it was just based on getting different colors of sleeves that just happened to be the whatever were the cheapest. Yeah, these are super purple, and those are like midnight blue. And these sleeves though were a fucking pain in the ass for whatever reason. Like they were much tighter fit, and I didn't have any extras, which is why the commander's in a black sleeve. Because literally I only had 99 sleeves in the box. I was kind of mad. It was like the worst box of dragon shields I've ever opened. It was just extra rough because I did that one first, and I didn't remember the trick for if a sleeve is tight. Which is that you just stick another card in there as you're putting it in to, like, grease the wheels. And then it's no problem. But I was struggling that first deck. But the rest have been pretty smooth sailing. I find these fake cards so funny. Because they used to do... They gave you an oversized card that was like this big in the EDH decks. But they've switched to just giving you a fake card that's extra thick. It's just a fake magic card. But magic cards, closer to magic cards size. So you can sell the real card and just use the fake one as your commander proxy. I guess. Because you couldn't use it as a proxy in like an actual deck because it's too thick. But as your commander, as long as you never plan on getting it shuffled back into your deck, or if you have a... Okay, this island's being a bitch. Let's do this. Let's do the technique. Get this primed first. There we go. And then you just stick a card back of it. And for whatever reason, they slide any better. Although I already fucked that up. No. I swear it works better. I mean, putting it in your hand also kind of doesn't matter. Because it's still known information, right? It's only like that it would stand out among all the cards in your deck that it matters. Because it's more about making sure your shuffles are randomized than anything. Which is why I'm sleeving up the lands. or double sleeving lands. It's not like I want to protect these lands so bad. It's they keep all the cards in the deck consistent. That is why foils that curl are the worst. It's like the worse than, like, as bad as fake cards. Because they stand out. So, like, why in tournaments you get judge proxies, where judge just writes the name of your card on a basic land, and you have to use that in your deck instead of your foil. It's a thing that happens at official tournaments. I mean, they have alternate borders on 30th anniversary. You can get new border and old border versions of cards. But yeah, I don't think they're foil. The thing that drives me crazy about the foiling, the curling thing with foiling is just the like etched foiling they do doesn't curl in the same way. Like cards don't have to curl. They just kind of don't care enough about it. And also, double face cards that are foil are fine because they're foiled on both sides. So they don't have the issue where one side has absorbed more moisture than the other side. The thing that I used to be crazy about the idea of new foils, but I calmed down because you can get moisture packs and just like put your foiled cards in a Ziploc bag with them, and they'll decurl, and you can sleeve them up, and it's fine. It's actually a workable. It's a way to deal with it. With a less than ideal situation. Huh. Yeah, see, it's the difference between this kind of foiling, the card has curled, and this kind of foiling, where it's mostly on the edges, and these don't curl. Anyway. And these go, since this is a teamer colored deck, and I put them in green sleeves, they go in the red box. Oop. Commander in backwards. Kind of think it should be in a different colored sleeve, but I don't care. And now, that I've got them in 4 deck boxes, I can put them in a box. Nice and tight. And now all those are in one box. Although the thing that kind of drives me crazy about my plan here is I don't have room for the tokens. The tokens are now in another box, and that's stupid. I should have gotten a bigger box that could also hold the tokens, but so everything could really be in one package. So this is a hefty pile of cards right here. But this can go on a shelf now. If I had the shelf space, you know, theoretically. Put the box in another box. I also got I picked up the Brothers War Commander decks just because I'm a fucking simp for artifacts and old borders. Even if like the printing is a little dark on these cards and they made the lands look weird. Like the lands, they just like this is just not how old border lands used to look. They just went with a darker style, and I kind of don't know why, but they did that. They chose to do that. Border Alayla. Like there's just like these weren't really a great deal in terms of value, but there are a lot of cards in here that are just cool that I didn't have, and they're old border Thought Monitor. It's artifacts, man. They got me. It's preordained. Arcane Signet, old border. Bajukabog, that looks terrible. Really dark. The new artifact lands that I didn't have at all, rather than buying signals. Like, what a weird looking Seat of the Synod. What a fucking weird thing. Like, it's really these basics. Like, fucking lands never fucking looked like this. Like, what? I know, like, the professor was, like, ripping into the print quality. And I saw it. It's more in the Urza deck than the Mishra deck. Mishra decks, I didn't think was as bad. But I kind of see it. But I also kind of don't care. Like, they're either way, they're just new Magic cards. So who cares that much? But I just am a simp for the artifacts theming stuff. I have so many spin downs now. That's fair. I only watch him intermittently. These foils appear to be curling, and they are only the art is not foiled. It's only the border, so they managed to fuck that one up too. Look at that, a braid. just a cool, expressive iteration with old style. That's so fun. This Mind Stone looks pretty good, honestly. That doesn't look that off from my actual old Mind Stones. Look at this Reliquary Tower. That's fair, Ace. The easiest way, I think, to burn out on Magic is consuming Magic content. Because Magic creators are fucking miserable. They have to talk about Magic too much. Even when they don't want to. Like, I've just watched enough of them and I'm like, you should stop. You're clearly, like, not having fun. This stuff is, like, cool because it's fun. And, like, if you're getting bent out of shape about stuff too much, step away. Old War Joyra. I might use this as my Lithiform Engine is just a card I needed. I had an Emery. Master Transmuter old style. Chaos Warp. Brutaclad. Metalwork Colossus with the threshold symbol. The product fatigue is real. Although I get why it happens. Like, I kind of feel for Wizards in that before they, like, I still remember when they really weren't putting up enough cards. I just wish we could organize EDH more often. Like, I wish I would just play more EDH in general is my main thing. Because that's the most fun. Like, I play on Arena a shit ton, but the thing about Magic is I kind of view those as, like, completely different experiences. And, like, the cards you care about for either one are, like, completely different. It's like, if you try to care about all of Magic, yeah, it's overwhelming. But But I like all different kinds of Magic, so I don't know. It's fun because it's my hobby, and the people who make content on it, it's like their job. So I get it. But also I'm like, go away. I'm not going to listen to you anymore. But I was more likely, in the past, I've burnt out on Magic because I thought the cards they were putting out were all boring sets and weren't interesting. So I'm actually less likely to get burnt out in this era where there's cool stuff they're putting out. So I'm more inclined to just look past stuff that doesn't interest me and say, yeah, that doesn't interest me. But start making Magic videos. I mean, I've streamed plenty of Magic. Magic is like the thing I do to turn my brain off, though. We're specifically playing Arena is like turning my brain off. So I kind of don't want to give that up to streaming. Like, it's too valuable to me as like watching YouTube time and turning my brain off. Whereas this is fun because this is, I don't know, I like streaming this. I like having an excuse to hold the Magic cards in my hands, because that's a whole different experience of the thing. I think that's it. The greatest Magic card product release, though, are these tiny decks. And I didn't hear anybody fucking ever talk about these. I just saw these at the fucking store and was like, this is the greatest thing ever created. Because they're actual decks. They're full 60 card decks. They're just tiny. Oh, what a good what a good product. Also, they were cheap. No, they're not legal. I mean, for one, they're like, I don't know, they might have been standard legal like a million years ago. I don't think they're like made for any format even. No, there's no way. Like these cards never existed with each other. It might be like legacy legal technically. Cause fucking Ray of Command is in here. But they're cool. They're just very funny. They printed fucking planeswalkers. I mean, you can play against they came as a 2-pack, so you could play against each other. Look at my tiny acid slime. Exactly. None of this big planeswalker shit. Give me tiny planeswalkers. Giant Urza. Although I love Giant Urza. As someone who loved the big furry monster, which was the first kind of meld card. It was in the first unset. It was a 99/99 power toughness creature that took 2 cards. The thing that kind of drives me nuts is I built pauper decks at one point, and they're all fucking out of date. I think this was actually supposed to be modern, like budget modern burn. Where I'm using like Fiery Tempest and Wizard's Lightning. My tech was Flame of the Keld at the time, but I think there's like no way that that's the right thing to play. Also before Faithless Looting got banned, I think. Four cards. That's so much table space. Big Urza already has so much text on it. It does so many things. I need to upgrade my regular EDH decks. Bear deck. Need some work. I've again decided all my EDH decks don't have enough lands in them. It's just like I watched the MTG Goldfish guys on their Commander podcast. We're like talking about a Sam's Black tweet about how mana rocks are a scam and you should just be playing more lands. And I was like, I kind of agree. Specifically about like three, because I already believe that about 3 cost mana rocks. They're spending 3 mana for a rock that creates 1 mana. That's silly if you're trying to be efficient or whatever, because there's so many better options. 2 mana rocks, I think, are still fine, but I don't know. Maybe you should also just be playing more lands and fewer talismans, probably, because you need the talismans aren't an advantage long term unless you're hitting all your land drops also. And if you're cutting lands to play talismans, you're not going to hit your land drops. So that logic kind of worked on me. So I kind of want to redo all my decks. But taking cards out of your deck feels terrible. It's the worst. It's the worst thing in the world. Also, my bear deck had like way too few lands. I had like 34 lands. I'm like, this is a mistake. This is wrong. I also have like had like the whole strategy of that deck is different now. Mostly because Ayula is actually so good. It's kind of just worth like literally just playing bears. Because you can put out so much pressure on the board. Here's my bear deck. Etched foil Eula. But like these cards, like Cage Sun, I kind of think I should cut. And if I'm cutting those, then I have to cut Riptide Replicator as much as I love it. I do love that it made sense to make all my lands snow lands, because there's one bear that cares about snow lands, Spirit of Aldergard. It's the only reason you put snow lands in here. But then also I have that snow land that lets you scry. Scrying sheets. I just had a foil one from like the few Cold Snap packs I bought back in the day. So that was cool. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna put I need a Cloudstone Curio. That's like an expensive card that I don't have. But the Allure in Cloudstone Curio and Loop is the kind of stupid broken that I want. Faceless Layman I could probably take out. It's probably not actually good. But I have this borderless foil one. Seedborn Muse I could also probably take out. God, I've just come all the way back around and I love this card again. Recycle. I was off it for a while. Where you skip your draw phase, but whenever you play a card, you draw a card. I mean, proxying is a thing, but I'm still just an old sicko with a large magic collection, so I'd rather proxy as little as I have to. I kind of still like not willing. I even have old like gold border cards that I'm kind of not willing to put in decks just because I just would rather play with real cards. But it's stupid because it also means I kind of don't want to play my actual decks with, with strangers. So I don't know. I only like like if I were prepping for having playing with friends, then it's whatever. But I only want actual decks if I were ever going to like a convention or something. And then I probably wouldn't want to bring proxies. No, that's fair. But I have the cards. Or I have so many of the cards. It feels silly. Just because I've been collecting magic cards for most of my life. For a long fucking time. Although there are always more. Not regular basics. Like the lands you need to play, but the good lands. Oh boy. The good lands can get expensive. Like fetches. No, Ace, I'm with you. I'm not comfortable carrying that stuff, but like this is an expensive land. A Misty Rainforest. They are less expensive currently because they were reprinted not too long ago, which is when I picked mine up. I picked mine up because they got reprinted. But I don't know. I just like having the thing. I'm still kind of weird about it. But that's also because I barely play with real cards. They're mostly for me to look at and they make me happy. Like I've gone to a con to play EDH like twice, once. But like, I don't know, if you're playing with friends and you want to do, I really love it in the terms of like, I've been liking the idea of, if you had a group, which I am, I have literally no one in this group. But if you have a group of 4 people who get really into CDH, but you play it with the mindset of like, it's not even about a person winning the game. It's like the collective of like the best line happening is like the goal of the table of people like trying to play optimally and stuff. Like that appeals to me in a weird way where it's like everyone's playing super hard to win, but not in a way of like being competitive about it, just like wanting the right line to happen. There was like I think it was a professor video about CDH where he talked about it in those terms, and it kind of turned me around on the whole thing. Because so much of like regular EDH is like, oh, you're trying to power yourself down so that everyone at the table isn't too salty or whatever. And that's so much harder than if you literally turn the dial all the way up and everyone's on the same page. And it's just like, it's not about like, and you're not like trying to hold each other to like sequence correctly as like, because if you don't, you want them to fail or whatever. You just want the right thing, the correct thing line to happen. You kind of work together as a table to make sure that kind of happens. And I think that's idea is just like a way better, more possible outcome for everyone in a play group to be happy. Because it's fucking hard managing what cards people are like. That card's fucking horseshit. Or whatever. People get salty about certain cards or whatever, or strategies. Because I kind of think the way EDH is broken is because nobody plays land destruction, so it just like forces the format in a weird direction normally. Also, because I have spike-like tendencies as a deck builder, but not as necessarily as a player. Well, again, I'll try to do the right line. But I'm not going to like punt or whatever. But I don't necessarily love the outcome if I just try hard with my deck. Like that just trying to win isn't, and the play of it isn't that fun necessarily. But I did look into yeah, that's fine. Do the thing. Build the deck you want to build. But in like a vacuum. But playgroup dynamics are different. But I wish I had a playgroup to even try and care. I was thinking about like I've been thinking about just putting together EDH decks on MTGO, because you can just play Commander on there with randos. That's a way to play the easiest way I can think of to play Commander with randos. But that client, I've been watching the MTG Goldfish guys play on it, and they're like, there's so many bugs. They're cards that are just like don't work correctly. I don't know. It's like every other video. Like there's some card that doesn't work right because it's not a legacy card. It seems to be the thing. Like they will fix shit if it's for legacy. If it's for Commander, it's hit or miss. Like someone played Urza's Incubator, and it was like, this didn't work last time I played it, but maybe it'll work this time. It's like, yeesh over just playing on tabletop and managing all the rules yourself. Although tabletop has its own. If you were creating content on tabletop, that would be a whole other nightmare, because the guys that run that game are fucking pieces of shit. So you kind of wouldn't want to be associated with it after shit went down. Fucking games like that should not have fucking global chat at all. Yeah. Yeah, people, I mean, it was people complaining about harassment on the in like global chat or whatever on tabletop, I think, and the people who made it made it clear that they were fucking garbage humans. So that was a bummer. It was a bummer. Or whoever made a statement about it, I guess. I think it was a while ago. As a person who owns that software and isn't giving them more money, it's kind of whatever to me. But if you were making content, I feel like it would matter more. If you were pushing people towards a platform. I don't have any Pokemon packs. I only have this, which I looked at last time. This is the Pokemon cards I own, and I looked at them last time. Same with all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. All right, it's time. But what about Pokemon manga? Pokemon manga. Pokemon manga. Pokemon manga. That's all the Pokemon manga I have. And some of them aren't opened because I read through all of them at some point in the past, but I didn't own them back then. I was reading my friends' copies. Those comics rule. They're a lot of fun. I'm so excited for when I can make Ben read this also. It could happen at any time that I make Ben read Dragon Ball that time I got reincarnated as Yamcha. Because I think it does reference Super at the end. With do you mean with Gotenks and Trunks being superheroes? That's going to be prequels for superhero? I mean, he's heard it enough times. So I've got a super manga. But it's not all out yet, up to where they are. I was reading here. I didn't read through the Tournament of Power arc, and we're gonna do the later stuff sometime next year. Yeah, they're teens in that new movie. Because the announcement with the manga is that it's going to take place before It's going to be lead into Dragon Ball Super, and then they're going to adapt Superhero or whatever. Rather, Dragon Ball Superhero. Explaining red and blue. It's like not clear in the anime what the difference between red and blue, particularly at first. The fact that they just stop using red, like red just goes away immediately until they start using it again later. Actually, let me show off. So actually, the coolest Dragon Ball thing I own are these. The Daizenshu, which are not translated. This is all the lore. This is the only volume they ever released in English, because it's just an art book. So it wasn't like they did a lot of work to adapt stuff. Hell yeah. I opened on the perfect page. Goku and Piccolo driving cars. Fucking Dragon Ball F1 Marlboro. What if Goku drove a car? Gotta go fast. This was actually the hardest one to get, weirdly enough. Although the hardest one to get that I don't own are the ones that are they're ones that are like this, soft cover, that are about the trading cards. There are like 2 of them. Those are like way more expensive than the rest of this. That's like, I draw the line. I will get this because it's about Boo stuff, that TV anime. Like, and I think that shit's really cool. Oh yeah, we need to do this movie still. But I'm kind of saving it as a treat for the super good animation for retelling original Dragon Ball. Because that movie's friggin' beautiful. Does this get into GT? I guess not. That's cool. But like this. This is the stuff where it's like, I wish they would translate all of this. Oh, there's some GT stuff. And like there are fan translations for this shit online. I'm pretty sure people have gone through all this material, but this shit is so. These books are so fucking cool. Holy shit. You're not wrong. Oh, look at Tien. Hell yeah. It's the colorized version of the drawing from the end of the manga. This is movie stuff. Bio Broly. We still need. Me and Ben are gonna watch this movie next. That's like the next thing on our list. But we already watched the Broly movies. That episode will come out in a couple weeks, I think. God, Broly's so dumb. Old Broly. New Broly, tremendous. Nothing like this part right here. Right before Trunks pees on him. That is the thing that happens in that movie. Oh, fake Piccolo. Where you think it's Piccolo and then it's revealed. Bio Broly actually better than Second Coming though. Specifically because it has Android 18 and Mr. Satan in it. That makes Bio Broly actually better than Second Coming. Just because of them. God, the cooler movies. Hell yeah, World's Strongest. Dead Zone, where Gohan pees in Krillin's mouth. Right there. That goes right into Krillin. I guess onto and into. Oh man. I'm also stoked when we cover the old Dragon Ball movies. Because it's old Dragon Ball animation that we haven't looked at. Because it's just retellings, but... particularly the third one. Gotenks. Oh, Boover's Boo. Boo and Mr. Satan. Taking a bath. Alright, see you, David. I'll stop looking at this soon. This shit's just so fucking cool. Actually, too good. Mr. Satan. Anyway. Oh, the World Guide. Yeah, hell yeah. The Dragon Ball world. The Earth. Maps. Places besides the Earth. Aw. Majin Buu and Puppy. And B. Hell yeah. Technology. God. Fucking. Like, I know one of these has the power level chart. Where everyone is assigned a number. Oh, fuck yeah. Get wrecked, Tambourine. Yeah, we've already recorded all that stuff. It's just gonna come out over the next few weeks. Although I'm mad, one of the episodes we lost a little bit of the convo, and in the moment I have no idea what we lost. I still have to edit that episode together. Let's launch an aider. The end of Dragon Ball. And this is just that same. I have that same volume 1 in Japanese too. Anyway, that's a stream. Thanks for hanging out. I still always want to be stream more than I do, but why stream when I can fucking turn into a lump? Or watch someone else stream, or watch a YouTube video, or whatever. Anyway, peace. Thanks for hanging out. I accomplished my goal of getting those decks finally sleeved. Peace.